Sorry for the background noise. My rural county highway has become the major state highway temporarily. Probably all for next summer too. Sorry I haven't done any videos recently for this channel. I didn't get any feedback on my last several videos I've posted here, so I don't really know where to go. I haven't had any real finished ideas to post on my own. I've got a little shotgun of ideas I'm going to present today. Maybe 3 or 4 different ideas that I'm not going to fully develop. I'm just going to kind of rifle through them, attempt to. I'm not very good at that. But I really value feedback. It's the only thing I really get out of doing this channel is your feedback, your counterpoints, your constructive criticisms. Any of that is more than welcome. And I'm going to move to a quieter place and get me out of the camera and go through these real quick. Here we are a little bit in my backyard. I should probably march back even further, but I'm not going to be able to escape this noise even at the back of my land, I'm afraid. Let's point you over here for a minute. So the first thing I have is Hanlon's razor, and it's kind of gotten erased. This board's been tossed around quite a bit. And I looked it up on Wikipedia even after I came across it elsewhere. It's got a number of different sources, really. It's kind of come about independently through a lot of different sources, presumably independently. But for example, Napoleon: never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by incompetence. Napoleon. And Goth, I had some other things here. Robert Hanlon, I guess. That's why it's Hanlon's razor, is the attribution. But earlier, Goth, or Goth, or whatever her name is, said it. Anyway, my writing is getting all erased here from traveling around with me too much. But it's something I've had to think about a little bit, and I hate to go political again, but, I see the missteps of the Trump administration, and is it deliberate? Is it an evil, deliberate plan, or is it incompetence? That's... I'll let you guys broil on that one. But in general, people, and it's about forgiving people more. I don't want to go with it. I shouldn't have even brought up the Trump thing. It's more appropriate to think of this in relations that you're close to, people who you don't forgive because you think they're plotting against you, or there's some nasty thing that they have against you. They're doing all this just to piss you off. And sometimes they are, but a lot of times they aren't. A lot of times it's just pure bleeding ignorance, misconceptions, things they think they know. So I guess the understory to this Hanlon's razor is, try to be a little bit more understanding. Basically that's it. Don't always assume people are wicked when maybe they're just stupid, ignorant. Don't confuse ignorance for wickedness. I guess it can go both ways. And then my next little subject, kind of halfway related, is about government paranoia, or paranoia in general. The people who are always doing the conspiracy theories, they're putting fluoride in the water to neutralize us, to make us stupid and cut our population down. They're doing chemtrails across the sky to poison our atmosphere and kill us all off. Agenda 21, they're going to get rid of 90% of us just for the heck of it, because they're evil, mean people, and they want to live in a nice eco-environment. All these little lies and distortions, a lot of these are based on truth, and maybe they are somebody's paranoid delusion, but, do we really need to focus on their delusions? Do we really have to convince ourselves that the whole government is in on this dastardly program, to do this or that, poison us, trick us, lie to us? Well, sometimes they are. But it goes out of hand. People, I don't get the insecurity that a lot of people have, this paranoid, I gotta lock everything down, everything in their life's gotta be locked down, paranoid, they're out to get me. You really gotta stop back and think of the what if, what if it does happen? What if the worst does happen? Is it really that bad? And most of the time you go through all that kind of exercises and you'll find out it's, well, yeah, I can still live. Yeah, I can get by with less stuff. I can get by without this or that. Maybe I don't get my way with the government or whatever, but I don't have to live with the pain of being wrong or not being able to spread my wisdom to the masses or whatever the hell it is. So, yeah, I guess it's about, focus and let go and seeing what you're doing to yourself, see what you're really doing, taking what I call the perpendicular view, the view off from the side, looking in on it, on your situation from a side view, a detached view. All right, so let's leave that one for now. I'd love to hear feedback, of course. The next one I want to mention is another kind of paranoia thing. And it's really a disturbing, insidious kind of paranoia. And I might have mentioned this briefly before, I don't know. Anyway, back on the Art Bell show, when it was still Art Bell, and I know they've had this guest on a few times since with Nori. I guess they have. I don't really listen to Nori. But they had this guy, I don't know if it was Morning Star or Night Hawk or something, what his name was, some kind of Indian name. And he came on saying, don't go to the light. When you die, don't go to the light. It's a trap. They're going to grind up your spirit and blend it with a bunch of other spirits and make you like bologna sandwich, and just dump you out the other end as a new body with a bunch of mixed, confused spirit stuff from other souls all mixed together. And so he has got this thing where you're going to go through this like grinder blender process where all the souls get suckered into getting reincarnated, and instead of just reincarnating them, they blend them all together and spit them out as little and this is all a distortion of how it really works, actually. But they're confusing what happens at a very high level to what happens at a lower level. You're not going to get, this is my opinion, the way I see it, you're not going to get blended or disintegrated or whatever. Maybe you will if it's a hell. Maybe that's what hell really is, I don't know. But that's not going to happen to an advanced soul, at least at this stage. Advanced for this stage, I should say. I don't know. I think it's a lot of bunk. I think it's a lot of trouble. And there's a lot of lore about what happens if you don't go to the light. Basically you end up, I think it's in Buddhism, the hungry ghost, or is that Hindu? I don't know. But basically a ghost, wandering. There's nothing in the physical plane for you after you die. You really need to detach yourself to all the karmic situations going on. Move on, detach, and start over again. Or do whatever you're going to do with your afterlife. But this paranoia about not going to the light, I fear, is really dangerous. It's probably going to lead some souls astray. I suspect, though, in the final analysis, when you get there, you're going to be able to throw most of this garbage mental stuff away. You'll know better. You'll have an instinctive pull as to what to do. But I really think it's really crazy bad advice. Just don't go to the light. Don't go to the light. It's a trap. And again, I think it's somebody taking some real high concepts that are actually true and some, in an abstract way, and then making them more real than they really are. How do I even say that? Anyway, I think it's incompetent and dangerous advice to make a blanket statement like, don't go to the light. It's just going to be a quick recycle, and they're going to sucker you and recycle you. For someone to take that advice, especially for someone who's not that advanced, could really get them in trouble. I think it's really horrible, incompetent advice. It's just kind of the foolish stuff people, and it's kind of an echo chamber. You get these new things in the New Age movement where people say something like that, and it echoes around. And now there's a guy doing a YouTube channel about it. Probably several. They haven't died, or they don't know. Unless the guy's a great master, I'm not going to listen to him. All right, so next subject. My next subject is real basic, really. It's but it makes me think about the law of one versus the law of attraction. The law of attraction kind of says we can have all we want in life. We can attract the perfect mate. We shouldn't live in poverty. We should live in a mansion. because we can really have all we want. There's no reason to deprive yourself. And I kind of fear this ties into in the back to some people. It kind of ties into old Calvinist ideas of, I'm better than you, basically. There's a select, and then there's the rest of the people are garbage. I mean, if you're part of the select, I don't know, let's not go there right now. I've talked about Calvinism before. But is it wise to have all you want? If I did really master the law of attraction, and I could have all the material goods I wanted, and even the trophy wife, is that really good? Is that really good for me spiritually? Is it really constructive in terms of personal growth? And that's kind of my criticism of Abraham, is there's a spiritual side to Abraham, and in a way I like what she teaches, but the focus isn't right. She doesn't give her people a focus, her followers a focus. She doesn't really lead them to spirituality. She leads them to how to work with the law of attraction, and that's about it. And yeah, get all the stuff you want. Well, is that really going to do anything for you? I don't think so. I think getting all the stuff you want is probably bad for most people. Very few people can deal with it. You get the stat about people winning the lottery and going to shit, spending all their money and ending up in worse debt than they ever were. Broken, or they commit suicide because they lose friends and frustrations and all that kind of stuff. So is it wise to have all you want? And that seems to be the drive of the law of attraction that's taught by many people, is just to have the stuff you want. By not having the stuff we want, and even not having happiness all the time, it's a catalyst. It makes us want. And desire is the catalyst. Without desires, what are we doing here? I mean, you let go of your desires and you free yourself of a lot of catalyst. But ultimately, to be totally desire-free, or to totally get everything you want all the time, I don't know. That's not right either, in my opinion. The last little subject I wanted to talk about was flows. And I've heard many different ideas about how the flows go into the body. And I'm talking about spiritual flows here. Not even necessarily spiritual, but, spiritual and not spiritual. The physical type of forces and the spiritual type forces. So in some, I think it's Hindu, they say kal and akal for, kal is everything to do with the physical, the material, I should say, more than just the physical plane, but the lower planes. The kal force is the lower force. In Kundalini, you kind of pull this lower force up through the chakras. It's this life force. And you pull this lower, it's kind of a grounding life force. It's a powerful thing. The Kundalini, opening Kundalini is a real powerful thing, which I don't really recommend, but that's something we can go into later. I don't really have personal experience there, so I really shouldn't go there too far, but, a lot of people get in trouble opening the Kundalini. Of course you want to maybe open it to a degree, but this full floodgate of opening the lower and having these big, profound astral experiences, psychic experiences, it's a lot more than most people are really ready for. And it really doesn't serve that much of a purpose other than to get your energies going. So I think of the Kundalini force as an akal force. A kal force, an earthly grounding force, the lower end of creation, the physical end of creation. And I think of the akal as the not kal, a means not. And akal is everything else, the spirit, the spirit coming down, the down going spirit. So you've got an upward flow and a downward flow. You've got the kal or Kundalini flow going upwards, and you've got the akal or spiritual flow going downwards. And some think the akal, the spiritual force, comes down, and then it spirals clockwise with respect to gravity down towards the earth, and then heads towards the center of the earth. Whereas the kal force rises from the core of the earth or whatever, and goes counterclockwise through the chakras, looping through the chakras, and then exit the top. And then I've heard other takes on it where, no, the one flow goes up your back, and then it goes down your front. Spiritual flow goes down your front, and then the Kal force goes up the back, or maybe it's the other way around. So there's different mixes of that. I've been listening to a guy called Kurt Leland recently, some of his lectures, and he says it goes, all kinds of different ways. You just want to see flow. You don't really want to put a mental gate around how you're going to flow. Let the flow flow where the flow flows, and don't try to make a mental concept around it. And I think that's probably the wisest thing about that. But I do think it's significant to acknowledge that there is an upward and a downward flow, and the upward and the downward seem to meet through the chakras. This is my theory. Now we're getting more into and I'm going to go real wild here, and you can all tell me I'm full of it. But I want to propose some things. People talk about chakra blockages, where the energy gets blocked in a chakra. And I think that's only half the picture. I think half the time the chakras don't get blocked, but they get opened, they get shorted. So an over-open chakra, it's like a short, and a closed-up chakra is like an open. And you got these two forces, up and down. And to me, the chakras are the meeting points to these forces. The upward force and the lower force meet through these various chakras. And so, one's going up, one's going down, and they meet in all these different chakras. And it's been kind of hip lately to say, chakras don't really exist, it's just a mental concept, blah, blah, blah. And lately there's been chakra removal. Even Campbell was saying, chakras are just a mental concept, maybe, or whatever. They don't really exist, or do they really exist, or they're conceptual existence only. I kind of call bunk on that, frankly. I don't know if the chakras are a mental construct or not, but we do have ganglions all the way up our nerve. And that's the way I was taught, was that the chakras respond to the major ganglia. And you've got major ganglia. You've got, as you go down your spinal cord, you've got clusters of places where the circuits branch off, and there's a little bit of logic at the ganglions. And so as you go down your backbone, there's like stations, where a lot of nerves branch off to go through your arms, for example. There's a ganglion there, there's a major ganglia by your throat, by your heart, by all the chakras. So I don't see how you can say it's purely a construct. And then there's this chakra removal idea, where let's get rid of the concept of chakras. Some people have a more literal, there's always a lot of different mishmash going around about different subjects. Chakra removal, but one concept, kind of like Abby Normal's concept on it, where she's going to remove or it wasn't even her, it was somebody else. Somebody else talked about it, where they're going to remove the concept of chakras, the mental concept, not really a psychic surgery or something, And then other people talk about, different number of chakras, we'd be better off if we only had 4 chakras, and I'm going to make 4 chakras, whatever, but it's getting to a lot of BS, in my opinion. I'll take the regular model, and I take it as having some basis in truth, simply because I look at my physical anatomy and say, hey, there's ganglions in those chakras. That's about all I got to say on that. Kind of an undeveloped idea. Interesting to hear your thoughts.